Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Welcome to another episode of Action Video Game Talk. I'm your host, Scott Action Jackson. Thanks for joining me today, or tonight, or whenever you're watching or listening to this episode. Once again, there's a whole bunch of news articles to go through, so let's just hop right into them. According to a translated version of a recent investor Q&A, Nintendo President Satoru Iwata acknowledged that Nintendo may consider changing their region locking policy in the future. In response to a question on changing the practice, he cited a number of reasons for region locking in the past, including marketing and licensing issues, but acknowledged that the measure benefits sellers rather than consumers. As for what should be done going forward, if unlocked for the benefit of the customers, there may also be a benefit for us, he said. Conversely, unlocking would require various problems to be solved. So while I can't say whether or not we intend to unlock, we realize that it's one thing that we must consider looking to the future. Should Nintendo follow through, the company will join the likes of Microsoft and Sony, who have both abandoned region locking on their current consoles. Nintendo's newest consoles, the new 3DS and 3DS XL, are region locked. Now, to me, the whole region lock thing for the Nintendo systems have always been there and haven't really been a major issue until, I don't know, maybe, to me it would seem like the 2001, 2002 area. Because there was a lot of good games that was released for the original DS that were only playable in Japan because here in the US we couldn't play it because the DS systems were region locked. I know there was the Shonen Jump video games. I think it might have been called like Jump All-Stars or something like that, where you could actually play like a Smash Brothers type game with all the major anime characters. You had Dragon Ball Z, you had One Piece, you had Yu Yu Hakusho. But here in the US, we haven't had anything like that. Nothing like that because of all the different, I guess, legal issues with where all the animes are being distributed from here in the US. Over in Japan, it isn't that much of an issue. But onto this, Nintendo should have just had like an open region console to begin with. And right now, like this article says, Microsoft and Sony have both abandoned the region locking on their current consoles. Duck Hunt, a classic game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, is coming to the Wii U Virtual Console. The re-release of this classic game requires the use of a Wii Remote. Duck Hunt was originally released on the NES in North America in 1985 and required the Zap light gun accessory. So we're going to get Duck Hunt on the Wii U Virtual Console, and it's going to be using the Wii Remote. Now, originally, like I said, Duck Hunt was released in 1985, and on the original Nintendo, there was 3 different ways you could get Duck Hunt. You could get it by itself, you could get it bundled with the Super Mario Bros. Game, and I think that way it did include the Zap gun. Yeah, Zapper light gun. And then there was a third option, which bundled together Super Smash Bros., Duck Hunt, and then I think it was like a World Series track stuff. I think that one might have came with both the light gun and the little track pad that you had to use. It's nice that they're actually bringing this out, and just after they, well, not just, but after they said that Duck Hunt is going to be in the new Super Smash Bros. Game. Nintendo has confirmed the long-awaited and often requested follow-up to Ocarina of Time 3D. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is coming in spring 2015. The title was originally released in 2000 for the Nintendo 64. This Zelda game is a darker approach, with Link having very limited time to accomplish his mission. With only 3 days, you'll find yourself going back in time to reset the clock and continue your adventure. The title will be available for the 3DS and 2DS. I know that a lot of people have been bugging and begging Nintendo to actually make a Majora's Mask in some shape or form, whether it was for the 3DS or maybe for the Wii U, considering that there was I think it was a teaser trailer for Majora's Mask. Considering that they had a teaser trailer for that, by way of the Wii U, I guess, graphics, they could have made this for the Wii U. But this is good news for people who enjoyed and liked Majora's Mask. Me, I didn't. And that's about as far as I'm going to go as far as my opinion on Majora's Mask. I just didn't like it, and that's putting it lightly. Europe Majora's Mask 3D buyers will have the option to get a special edition with some extra goodies. This includes a two-sided poster, a special metal case, and a Majora's Mask pin. This special edition was announced during Europe's Nintendo Direct stream. The Direct was nearly identical to the standard one that announced Majora's Mask 3D, but there's a special added dedicated segment detailing the special edition. So here we have an actual special edition of the Majora's Mask that was revealed during the Europe version of Nintendo's Direct stream that announced the Majora's Mask for the 3DS. This special edition is going to include a two-sided poster, a special metal case for the game, and a Majora's Mask pin. But the image shown for the collector's, well, special edition has an actual pin badge, I guess, case to put it in. Now, since so many people were bugging and begging Nintendo to make a 3DS version of Majora's Mask, maybe they'll release this for the US as well. But then again, there has been so many special collector's edition that have just stayed over in Europe in the UK. But there is always people who hope for this stuff to come over. Capcom ran a location test over the Halloween weekend for a Luigi's Mansion arcade game in Japan called Luigi Mansion Arcade. The location test ran from October 30th until November 3rd and offered arcade visitors the chance to play the Luigi's Mansion themed game in a theater-style cabinet. It is thought that the cabinet uses the light gun as Luigi's Poltergust 5000, the iconic ghost capturing vacuum. The last Nintendo IP game to hit arcades was the Namco Bandai Games developed Mario Kart Arcade GP-DX. The sequel to Mario Kart Arcade GP2 rolled out to arcades across Japan mid-2013 and in the US on 2014. Next Level Games' Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, known in Japan as Luigi's Mansion 2, was the newest iteration of the Luigi's Mansion franchise. Dark Moon first launched in Japan on March 2013, followed by other regions. Now, sad to say, but in the area I'm living in, the arcade is kind of a dying fad. Although as much as I miss going to the arcade and just spending hours upon hours just spitting in the quarters and playing video games, I do miss those eras. That was back when I was maybe a teenager and a kid. Having something like this here in the US would be nice and help the arcades around the area. And it shows here the last time there was an actual Nintendo arcade was for Mario Kart Arcade GP-DX. They tried this Luigi's Mansion arcade over in Japan over the Halloween weekend, which over there I'm guessing would have done a hell of a lot of business, considering most of the arcades have been making a lot of money over in Japan. And over there in Japan, they're going to release this Pokemon Tekken crossbreed, and it's going to be straight arcade game in Japan right now. And hopefully later on, they'll make a port to the Wii U, and maybe, if we're lucky, arcades in the US. But yeah, something like this would be nice here in the US, especially around a Halloween time, which maybe that's something Nintendo of America can focus on for next year. Sega announced a second run of 3DS classics coming to the Nintendo 3DS eShop. In the past, Sega has released 3D versions of popular retro titles like Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Harrier, Altered Beast, and many more. In the new batch, which consists entirely of Sega arcade games, will begin with the release of 3D Afterburner 2 in early 2015. Additional releases will follow on a monthly basis. The other four classics are 3D Fantasy Zone, 3D Outrun, 3D Fantasy Zone 2, and 3D Thunderblade. Sega promises that each game will retain the vintage arcade feel with the original sounds, modes, options, and music tracks. All 5 games will be available on the Nintendo 3DS eShop for $5.99 upon release. I like this kind of news. This is usually how current generation gamers can play old school games, and in this case old school arcade games, onto current systems. Now in this case, Sega is releasing arcade type games on the Nintendo 3DS by way of the eShop, but they're improving it with 3D feature, but they're going to keep their sounds, modes, options, and musical tracks. Now that's kind of a big issue when some game companies re-release games, is some of the music tracks get changed, and then all the games will be $5.99 when they get released, which is a good price. PlayStation has given PlayStation 4 Plus members a sneak peek at the free games coming in December and January. In December, NetherRealm's developed DC superhero fighting game Injustice Gods Among Us will be free to all PlayStation Plus members on PlayStation 4, along with the indie multiplayer game Secret Ponchos. January will feature the infamous Second Son expansion, Infamous First Light, and the atmospheric puzzle game The Swapper as part of the free Instant Game Collection lineup. The free games lineup for PlayStation 3 during these months is not yet known. In addition to this announcement, the PlayStation blog announcement also explained that Drive Club is still not yet ready to launch, assuring that development team Evolution is working on getting it ready. These are some actual good games that they should have been given out for free to begin with. Well, especially for the PlayStation 4 PlayStation Plus members. And we got Gods Among Us, which I'm guessing is going to be the complete edition. So it's probably going to have all the extra characters and stuff, considering that's the only version of Injustice that was released on the PlayStation 4. Secret Ponchos was an indie game that they've been talking about for a long while. And then that's for December. In January, we're getting the Infamous Second Son's expansion, Infamous First Light, which you could play and buy separately from Infamous Second Son. Now, these are some good, awesome additions to the PlayStation Plus for PlayStation 4 players. And it says that they have not released the lineup for the PlayStation 3 part of the PlayStation Plus Instant Game Collection, which, considering those games, it'll probably be another awesome lineup. But the disappointing part of this article is that there's still no word on the Drive Club PlayStation Plus edition, because apparently Evolution Studios is still working on that stuff, which they should have figured out back when it came out. You might recall news last year that Sony had installed a way for publishers to keep some content from being shared button capable. It seems those censorship features also apply to the share play. GameSpot has reported that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is not compatible with the feature. We have independently confirmed this to be the case. SharePlay allows PlayStation 4 users to invite a friend to view their live gameplay and even take over the controller. It also allows PlayStation Plus members to play competitively or cooperatively. Sessions are limited to 60 minutes at a time. It seems Activision isn't ruling out inclusion of the feature for the title. Delivering a great gaming experience for fans is our top priority, the company says in a statement received via email. We're focused on launching Advanced Warfare and ensuring that people have a great time playing it, which our fans seem to be. SharePlay is a new feature that was included as part of the recent PlayStation 4 firmware 2.00 update. Our engineers didn't have access to it before it launched, so we haven't had a chance to evaluate it to see how it will impact the experience across all modes of play. Of course, we wouldn't include a feature in our game without having the chance to test it. Once we fully analyze its performance, we'll determine how to support it going forward. So this SharePlay feature that was actually introduced in the firmware update 2.00 is apparently being blocked as far as the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare game. Now, Activision themselves said that they never got around to testing it, which is what they're going to end up doing, is testing it out and see how it'll work going forward with the game. So we may end up seeing Advanced Warfare with share play. Well, that's it for this episode of Action Video Game Talk. Once again, thanks for joining me today or tonight or whenever you're watching or listening to this episode. Later on, I'll have the separate clips up if you want to check those out. Down below, I'll have the link for the Facebook page if you want to check that out as well. Until next time, bye.